Bill says we have no viewers.
It's all good. Really got to update this.
I'll do it with Gary Bonner done.
He's not here. He's not here. Don't look at that picture. What sideburns? I remember that Zax guy. He was a good guy. Oh, no. And it's a Spork of Ice and Fire. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is a Monday night, usually a Spork of Ice and Fire on a Thursday night because there has been news with George R. R. Martin and his Not a Blog where he started to touch on the things we were complaining about all season 2 long. Kind of, just making you guys realize that we were correct. So that's a beautiful thing. And really, I just wanted to throw my friends up on here just to talk about this and see what we think about where he was going to go in the next blogs. Because George R. R. Martin went, his way of fire and brimstone for a good half hour. Then his whole site went down. And when it came back up, the post was gone. The blog was gone. So it sounds like HBO called Saul, But with me tonight, we have Sir Mick Grant Gregory. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I've felt better, but I'm happy to be here to discuss George and the butterfly effect that someone on the panel's been talking about since last year. So
Yeah.
Should be good.
Yeah, a couple people. Thank you for being here, buddy. We also have Bad Takes Bojan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm confused about what day it is, but hey, I can talk about anything on any day. So glad to be here.
I'm always confused, so it doesn't matter. You'll be fine. So this is what I'm sorry. I'm hearing like so many things go on because I had audio going on over there. All right. Thank you for being here, Tina. And we have Mason, Free Folks of the Fandom, is here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, glad to have you, man.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Where is your sub count so we can start working on that?
I'm not sure. I think it's at 70 something.
All right, we got to get this guy to 100. Mason, look how handsome he is. Don't you want to help him? Come on. Thanks for being here, buddy. And as always, the one true king, Stig Baratheon.
Hi.
How are you? How are you, my friend?
Kingly, apparently. But
yes, you are.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I say we jump right into it, right?
My hate level is in general at an 80% these days, so that's very low.
Yeah, that is low for you, my friend.
So it's gone down. Nice.
It's gone down. It's a good thing. We were talking backstage, and we'll get to some of the critiquing and what I agree with George on. There are a couple things I disagree with him on in this one blog, but there are a lot of YouTubers and content creators out there defending the show. And look, I have good friends or people I know, at least I'm kind of a big deal, that loved this past season. And that's fine. Even though they're book readers, they were able to separate it. I wasn't. So kudos to them. But George at least was starting to touch on things that we were saying from episode 1. And some stuff that Teresa and Christy and the rest of us started touching on in the last season. And then a couple other big things that Teresa and I brought up about Maylor and stuff like that. So we'll get on this. We'll start talking about it. I'm going to bring up the blog.
Christy actually got a hell of a lot of shit for it too.
She got a lot of shit for
Yeah.
it.
And then, as the season progressed, turned out she
Mhm.
was spot on. And
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone apologize to her.
No, we would laugh.
That was directed
with
at
her.
you, Scotty.
No, I never went after her. We always laughed. And I always said, you definitely, like Christy had her view. And that's why I liked her being on the show, because I don't mind having conflicting views. I don't want to be in a hyperbolic little bubble. So if you're a YouTuber and want to jump on because you want to defend this, like I watched Preston Jacob, and Preston, we definitely didn't see eye to eye on about 90% of this blog. But I still love the dude's content. We're just different people.
Yeah.
And
he's allowed to be wrong now and again.
I completely agree with you, sir.
I think Christy and I are polar opposites, where she's like, "This
you're
sucks," and I go, "I kind of
you're breaking up, buddy.
still love it."
Yeah,
you're
you sound
breaking
like
up.
you're being electrocuted in a toaster.
Yeah, you might want to jump off and jump back on. But I knew what you were saying there. Tina was saying that Christy hated it and you still loved it, and you were able, still be friends. But let's see. We got Alex. Alex Moore is always correct. Yes, I am a YouTuber's YouTuber. Thank you, sir. Adega Outlaw. Dope. And there's other people behind the scenes. Please feel free to comment here over on Rumble or in the Twitter spaces. We'll love to see who is here and who isn't, so I can hold it against them later. Let's get going with this. So this is George's Not a Blog. Let me know if you guys in the chat can see it as well as we can. Because I do want you to be able to read it, but I don't know if I go up bigger. Okay, that's better. All right. So beware the butterflies. So this was from yesterday. Back in July, I promised you some further thoughts about Blood and Cheese. And Maylor the Missing. I like that. After my commentary on the first 2 episodes of Hot D Season 2, A Son for a Son, and Rhaenyra the Cruel. Now, before we go forward, he was pretty positive during the season about those first 2 episodes. I believe I remember it that way too. Right? Anybody else remember that?
Yeah, I think he's praised episodes 1 through 4, but the rest of the season he's kind of been quiet on.
Right.
Well, he mainly praised the actors and the direction of like how it was shot and everything. He didn't necessarily praise the story.
Mm-hmm.
No, he did not praise the writing.
No, you're absolutely right, guys. He was praising the acting mostly.
Which he should, because the acting's been phenomenal.
Yes.
With the exception of Misery,
right?
Who can't decide which accent to use.
Oh, Rhaenyra, I really love you. Yeah, I'm sorry if that popped. Hi Jane. If you want to talk, just let us know. Throw it in the chat. So he goes on. Those were terrific episodes. He does say in this, well written, they were well directed, powerful acting, a great way to kick off the new season. Fans and critics alike seemed to agree. There was only one aspect of the episode that drew significant criticism: the handling of Blood and Cheese and the death of Prince Jaehaerys. From the commentary I saw online, opinion was split there. The readers of Fire and Blood found the sequence underwhelming, a disappointment, watered down from what they were expecting. Viewers who had not read the books had no such problem. Most of them found the sequence a real gut punch, tragic, horrifying, nightmarish. Some reported being reduced to tears. I don't know how. You guys start on this. Mason, were you reduced to tears with the Blood and Cheese scene?
Not really. Like I was, I wasn't. I haven't. So I've read through Fire and Blood up to the point where season 2 starts, and Blood and Cheese was hyped really high. So I was expecting a little more than what we got. like what if we got what was in the books, I would have been the hype would have been earned.
Yeah.
But it kind of like it was pretty bad, but like not as bad as it could have been, you know.
Right.
I will say the sounds that they added to it. It was the
when
thing
he
that
was
kind of threw me.
sawing. Yeah.
Yeah, when it was like that, when I was just expecting to hear a chop, but hearing a saw, and I was just like, I can
Right.
remember my eyes being like wide, like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't
the
like
off
that.
the off-screen saw instead of in the books it was a sword.
But you could still see his arm and everything moving, so you could
Yeah.
still sort of see it. Like it
Yeah.
was, I felt like that part for what it was done well. But the problem, as I said, it's the butterfly effect. Like the reason that we hype this up so much is because this is a pivotal point for so many characters.
Yeah.
And that's just been taken away. Like Helena seems like a bitch.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. Jane makes a perfect point. The sound didn't work for her because there was no screaming of a child. And you would think if you start to saw a child head off, you would get a little screaming.
And there's nothing that Jane likes more than screaming children. We know that.
Scotty doesn't know. Yeah. What's up, Butcher? Thank you for being here. And Brian too. So Blood and Cheese just was underwhelming for me. I think the way the characters, again, we talked about this a lot. This was we kept saying like episode to episode, it seemed like the writers were different and didn't get to talk to him. I think Tina was the one that said sometimes in the episode, it seemed like that. And this is like one of those moments where Blood and Cheese seemed, there was moments where Blood was like this, brooding, like the mean ass that he's supposed to be. And then other scenes, it's like Laurel and Hardy, it just didn't connect with me. Tina, what did you think of it?
I absolutely agree with what you were saying, especially when they were walking through the whatever they call the big hall when they're still sitting around the throne, joking around, trying to come up with a new name for Aegon, and I'm like, they should be shitting a brick. They should not be like laughing over the fact, oh look, let's Keystone Cop our way across in front of view of everyone.
Right. Absolutely. Stig, get your view on it.
Well, with the Blood and Cheese, when they altered it, they also got rid of the psychological aspect of it a lot, and the reason why Helena goes mad,
right,
and and Maelor missing.
Yep.
That's
huge.
You basically castrate the whole scene by screwing it up the way they did. Not that it's not shocking or anything in the show, but they missed nasty stuff that is actually there for the story.
Right, and there might have been legal reasons.
Yeah, nasty but less gory.
Less gory. Yeah. And then,
but also it did the opposite thing with Helena. Like in the story, she's
we'll get to
now
that.
sane.
We'll get to that. Definitely.
They also tied up Alicent in the book.
Yeah.
And killed her handmaiden.
Yep, and she was like begging to, and they totally changed her character too. Like the butterfly effect. People think that we were focusing on the wrong stuff. Like there were people that disagreed with. Well, they agreed with us that the Blood and Cheese wasn't handled well, but disagreed about the importance of the choice, the Sophie's choice she had in the book compared to the one that's kind of real, girl or boy in the show. But what I think I touched on when we talked about this episode, that really bothered me about Blood and Cheese. And I've been thinking about what is the biggest issue with it and why I didn't think it nearly gave you that, like you said, that psychological, that punch, that it's because let's imagine we go back to the episode where Jon Snow gets stabbed. Okay. And if you're not a book reader, that was a shock. You could look back.
In the show, it doesn't even make sense because they stab him because he let the wildlings through the wall.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't even him. It was Alistair Thorne who did it.
Yeah.
Because John was with the wildlings on the other side. when he shouldn't even have had to, because all he had to do was sail 20 meters more,
Yeah.
and he'd be on the south side of the wall.
Okay, let me
So it was just
try.
all kinds of weird writing going
Okay,
on.
that may have been a bad point. All right, the red wedding in the show. Okay,
Yeah.
that shocked a lot of people that didn't read the books. But if we saw like the phrase, you know, planning the whole thing throughout the episode, like, oh, is he coming to the door? Okay, when he gets here, we'll just play normal,
Yeah.
and then boom, kick in with the reins of Castamere or something like that, you know, and then we'll go at him and we'll stab everybody. Everybody hide your chainmail under your, like, we got to see Blood and Cheese like ramp up to this point, as you said, a Keystone Cop type thing, instead of just appearing in the room, you know, and demanding a son for a son. So we lost that like idea of these guys just being these cruel hired hands that are there to kill a little child. And then what they do after that could have even been more powerful in the show if they just didn't show us Blood and Cheese through the whole episode.
It also altered the
In part-
succession.
Stig, and then we'll go to Tina. What were you saying, Stig?
I said it also altered the succession.
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
left out Maylor. But another thing I should point out is, you know, when people disagree with us and all that, that's perfectly fine.
yes.
But when we complain about something, 95% of the time, it's how it will, how the changes will affect the story.
Yes.
So it's not just complaining to complain. It's we actually back it up.
We're not racist and sexist. We just love our books. And we love the story that was
Well,
given
we are
us.
racist and sexist, but
Occasionally.
that's not why we're complaining.
Jane says exactly. The audience doesn't get to be surprised anymore. I think that's a huge part of it. A huge part of that whole Blood and Cheese moment in the book. Because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these guys come and they demand you choose between one of your kids, one of the boys. And it's powerful. But we'll read more because I like hearing what he has to say about
it's not just that. You know, the two missing characters are kind of key to that scene that aren't there.
Yes, huge.
And Maylor will be key later.
Yeah.
Something
equally
gruesome.
And he touches on
even worse.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I noticed that he didn't talk on is he didn't mention anything about the succession order and why that change was so different.
Oh, I thought he did touch on it being changed because, well, it says it in here. I'll point it out when we get there. I found myself agreeing with both sides. In my book, Aegon and Helena have 3 children, not 2. The twins, Jaharis and Jahara, and are 6 years old. They have a younger brother, Maylor, who is 2. When Blood and Cheese break in on Helena and the kids, they tell her they are debt collectors, come to exact revenge for the death of Prince Lucerys, a son for a son. As Helena has 2 sons, however, they demand that she chooses which one should die. She resists and offers her own life instead, but the killers insist it has to be a son. If she does not name one, they kill all 3. All 3 children. To save the life of the twins, Helena names Maylor, but Blood kills the older boy, Jaharis, instead, while Cheese tells little Maylor that his mother wanted him dead. Whether the boy is old enough to understand, that is not at all certain. Now, real quick, and I'm not attacking another YouTuber because like I said, I like Preston Jacobs, but he got caught up on this. Like the idea that like a 2-year-old wouldn't remember that. And being told that your mother wanted you dead. Now, he has a valid point. George doesn't know kids. A 2-year-old will never remember that. But see, I always read it as that was more for Helena and Allison. Like,
I don't know.
That's exactly what that was.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Stig?
When I was 2 years old, I sat on a heater, like burned my ass really badly. I still remember it.
Yeah, well, in something that's shocking, this might be one of those like, Dexter moments,
you know, screams or whatever. You know?
Yeah, but like if he was able to get old, and there's spoilers, guys. There will be spoilers. Tina, go ahead.
I was gonna say I remember doing things when I was a toddler, but I can't remember. Do I remember it because I recall that happening, or do I remember it because it's just been a family story or joke that they've told about, something that I did as a kid? So did
Yeah.
I retroactively create those memories?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I would think they wouldn't. Yeah, I would think they wouldn't be like, hey, you remember the time those guys told you your mother wanted you dead? Like, I don't think that would be part of one of the family stories, but wouldn't that be funny?
Exactly.
I'm terrible.
One of the things I wanted to say about Blood and Cheese, though, is the way that kicked off started a problem they kept revisiting throughout the second season, in the fact that Damon went all the way to King's Landing to set this up.
Right.
Where then later on, Rhaenyra goes all the way to King's Landing to meet with Alicent, and then Alicent leaves King's Landing to go meet. I mean, they kept doing this like there was no issue. All these poor people are starving inside King's Landing, but everybody else can come and go however they want.
Yeah, there was no.
There's also a blockade, so why aren't they being blocked?
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, there was no even suspense to it. You know what I mean? Like, there was no feeling
it's like, she's leaving and they're there.
Yeah. Oh shoot! I was hoping that would work.
It felt like the teleporting in the later seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make one mention with Rhaenyra. They're like, "You've been gone for days," but then everyone else, there's no mention of time passing. Like, you've been missing for this long. It's kind of it's weird that they picked one person to do it for.
Yeah, it was just a stupid mistake. Sorry, I keep changing the screen, guys. I want to be able to show that they're spoilers because there's always somebody who complains about it. But we were touching on that before. Like, the whole reason he said that your mom wants you dead to Maelor is, maybe even she doesn't realize a kid that little will remember it or not. But that was for the mother. That was for, you chose this kid and we killed the other.
Isn't he looking directly at Helena when he says it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Everybody is going in and out willy-nilly. Yeah, exactly. They just can come in and out. Like, King's Landing, no one can get food, even though they're only surrounded by like a quarter of water and the rest is land, and that's the only thing being blockaded. But yet she can come in from the sea in a rowboat and be able to be smuggled in. Like, it makes no sense.
The sea is always correct.
Yeah, but
series. Sorry.
People would be watching the harbor or the sea to see if something comes in. 100%. So that robot would be a rowboat even would be spotted.
Yeah. In a heartbeat.
Well, I'd hope they'd spot a robot back then.
Yeah, robot would be crazy. Then he would be correct about it being science fiction.
That would be a misery.
So he goes on.
No, that's just the acting.
He goes on. That's not how it happens on the show. There is no Maelor in House of the Dragon. Only the twins, both of whom look younger than 6, but I am no sure judge of children's ages. So I can't be sure how old they are supposed to be. Blood can't seem to tell.
That's kind of a creepy statement.
Yeah. Well, it gets a little crazy. Blood can't seem to tell the twins apart, so Helena is asked to reveal which one is the boy. You would think at a glance up his PJs would reveal that without involving the mother.
See, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen because at that time, if they're mirroring our historical time, they both would have been wearing nightshirts.
Well, they were.
Yeah, but you can
they
just
were
lift
in the
and
show.
check.
Right. I mean, these guys are 2 murderers. If she didn't answer quick enough, they could have just grabbed.
You know why they didn't do that now? Because women can have penises now, so there would have been an outcry.
That might have changed everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm being hyperbolic, but still.
I'm with you. Instead of offering her own life to save the kids, Helena offers them a necklace. This is in the show. Blood and Cheese are not tempted. Blood saw Prince Jaehaerys' head, saws off his head. We are spared the sight of that. A sound effect suffices. In the book, he lops the head off with a sword. It's a bloody, brutal scene, no doubt. How not? An innocent child is being butchered in front of his mother. I still believe the scene in the book is stronger. The readers have the right of that. The two killers are crueler in the book. I thought the actors who played the killers on the show were excellent, but the characters are crueler, harder, and more frightening in Fire and Blood. In the show,
Can I toss in something there?
Yeah.
You know when we have that scene in season 1 where the king was walking up to the throne, almost
Mhm.
collapsing.
Yep.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Probably the best scene in the season.
I'm with
George
you.
Martin said that was better than in the book.
Yes.
So when we see people go, oh yeah, he's just
He is not
bragging
a
about
hater, dude.
yeah, he's not claiming his book is always better.
I mean,
He clearly
said
said
that
something else.
he said
a lot
Patty.
in season 1. Yeah, he said a lot of things in season 1. He said
Yeah,
he
he's-
could have written it like
Yeah.
how Patty portrayed it. He's like,
Yeah.
because that's
So
the
Martin's being
better
fair.
series.
Mhm.
Book Blood is oh wait a minute. In the book, he is a former Gold Cloak, but in the show he's a Gold Cloak. Stripped of his office for
didn't-
beating a woman to
Made a
death.
whore to death.
Yeah. Book Blood is the sort of man who might think making a woman choose which of her sons should die is amusing, especially when they double down on the wanton cruelty by murdering the boy she tries to save. Book Cheese is worse too. He does not kick a dog, true, but he does not have a dog. And he's the one who tells Maelor that his mom wants him dead. I would also suggest that Helena shows more courage, more strength in the book by offering her own life to save her son. Offering a piece of jewelry is just not the same. 100%. I mean, he nails it right there. I do not disagree with him on any of that. As I saw it, the Sophie's Choice aspect was the strongest part of the sequence, the darkest, the most visceral. I hated to lose that. And judging from the comments online, most of the fans seemed to agree. And I was shocked he actually calls him out here. When Ryan Condal first told me what he meant to do ages ago, back in 2022 might be, I argued against it for all these reasons. I did not argue long or with much heart, however. The change weakened the sequence, I felt, but only a bit. And Ryan had what seemed to be practical reasons for it. They did not want to deal with the casting another child, especially a 2-year-old toddler. Kids that young will inevitably slow down production, and there would be budget implications. Budget was already an issue on House of the Dragon. It made sense to save money wherever we could. Moreover, Ryan assured me that we were not losing Prince Maelor, simply postponing him. Queen Helena could still have give birth to him in season 3, which Teresa kept bringing up, presumably after getting with child late in season 2. That made sense to me, so I withdrew my objections and acquiesced to the change.
Well, you know what though? The stuff that happens to Maelor has consequences too, and
Yes.
The timeline won't work if he's not even born yet on the show.
Right. It doesn't work at all.
And the logic that, casting another toddler, they could have used the kids that were Helena's 2 youngest that were playing on the floor next to each other at Dragonstone. Nobody would have told the difference as long as the person had bleach blonde hair.
Right.
So that wouldn't have made a difference. Yeah. And they didn't need to worry about the toddler acting, because when the maid first saw them in there with the 2 boys with the twins and then ran out, she could have been holding Maelor.
Yeah.
Like they could have, to warn the queen. I mean, they could have worked around this.
And Tina, what you're saying is what
Maelor.
I kind of agree with you on that. And still, I would have liked to see the choice between the sons, but if they couldn't, logistically do it, I could understand them doing exactly what you just said and then doing the Sophie's Choice between the twins, leaving him off screen and allowing, there to at least be a Maelor in the story. It changes everything without him, everything. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing. A lot of the other YouTubers, they don't think it was that big of a deal, but it changes the whole right of succession to the crown. And it changes the whole story. I mean, look what, and I want to touch on this later. Well, about what we think he might have written on the next couple blogs, but go on.
Imagine if they left out Tommen.
Right.
Right.
It would have changed the whole story.
Yeah, this, like, leaving out Maelor, and after reading the blog post, seeing the ripple effects that George R. R. Martin's laying out, it's kind of reminded me of how Dan and Dave treated Jane Poole, because they're like, oh, she's kind of here, but she had no lines in season 1, and just completely drops from the plot after season 1, and they're like, oh, we need somebody for the fake Arya story, so they end up cutting Sansa's plot line where she's manipulating everybody in the Vale, and
which
give it to
again
her.
cuts her storyline. Yeah, right. Because it by gluing it onto Sansa, they're altering Sansa's storyline.
Yep.
Yeah.
What that was, and we don't know how big the changes will be from cutting Lady Stoneheart out, but it seems to affect the Jaime and Brienne story quite a bit.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Even it affects the Brothers Without Banners. Being
Beric was alive all the way till the end, even though
he
dies in book 3.
That's so right. Like, he literally gives her the kiss of fire, and like, oh my God, yeah, you're right. And very good point, Mason. Very good point.
Which makes me wonder if the stuff Beric did in the show, if Lady Stoneheart will do some of that, if they merge the characters.
Yeah. Well, let's read on, because he gets some really good stuff going here. I still love the episode and blood and cheese sequence overall. I don't believe him. Losing the Helena's choice did weaken the scene, but not to any great degree. Disagree. Only the book readers would even notice an absence. Of course, viewers who had never read Fire and Blood would still find the scene rendering, whatever. Maelor did not actually do anything in the scene after all. How could he? He was only 2 years old. There is another aspect to removal of the young princeling, however. Those of you who hate spoilers, stop reading here. Spoilers will follow, at least for the readers among you. If you have never read Fire and Blood, maybe it does not matter, because all I am going to do is spoil here are things that happened in the book that may never, capitalized, happen on the series, starting with Maelor himself. Sometimes between the initial decision to remove Maelor, a big change was made. The prince's birth was no longer just going to be pushed back to season 3. He was never going to be born. The younger son of Aegon and Helena would never appear. And he throws in the butterfly. Like, I feel like George was misled. Like, did they ever plan on having Maelor? Or did they just do that? That
sounds exactly like what he's saying. He's saying that we were told that, it's still going to happen. And then, by the way, I didn't get around to it.
And that's why he didn't fight with passion. Yeah.
Sounds like the Game of Thrones show all over again. Because he got pretty salty with that too after what seems to be after the NDA, expired.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems to be like, that's why I think he made this post, is because he's been through this before.
Yeah,
I think so. I think this is like a case of they're not getting away with it again.
Do you think, Mason, that the NDA actually, like, what you're going with is, he got screwed over Game of Thrones. He doesn't want that to happen again. There must still be an NDA though, like, because legally this is still an active, series. So like, did he just break form? He broke form, right?
That's probably why it got taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to do? Are they really going to sue him?
Dude, I think that's why the whole site went down. After a half hour it was up, the whole site went down. And then it was deleted and the site came back up. I really think HBO was threatening something. But I like to
No, but
Mason didn't
like
finish.
realistically, how is it going to look when they're gonna sue the guy who gives the creative rights to this, which means that they're never going to get any more creative rights from him ever again.
I don't know, man.
This is
He's
their
he's
biggest show. This is their biggest thing.
but he's
Like
contractually signed on
he's only
to how many other shows? Like, yeah, he might have to break the contract, but it would be ugly.
each contract is individual. There's no blanket overall contracts. These
I
sort
see.
of
I don't
things.
know. I haven't seen the contracts, but I think he would definitely. They can at least scare him into it. I don't know.
No,
Mason,
I think this was him saying, well, what are you going to do? And they've just gone, well, we're going to take your site down.
no, because it's his site. It's
Yeah,
not
they could do
HBO.
it. It's easy enough for anyone to take a site down.
Yeah, if they hack him, then he could sue him. Look, what I'm saying is he was planning on writing quite a few more blogs about this. And after a half hour, their lawyers were on the phone with his lawyers. And something in the contract made him like, your penalty, some type of penalty monetarily made him second guess it and pull it down.
Yeah, I think they came to a compromise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he probably
It
went
was
too
quick
far.
though.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Mason.
Okay. I think he probably went a little too far, like spoiling what he had talked about with Ryan Condell for season 3 and 4. And like criticizing the show is probably like okay for him and his NDA. He probably worked to make sure he could do that after Game of Thrones.
Maybe, yeah.
But I think spoiling it and kind of bad mouthing the producers probably was what was over the line and why he had to take it down.
No, that's a good point, man.
Do you not think spoiling it is now going to make them want to change it? So he's getting what he wants.
Dude, these
That
people
would be
don't care.
royally sneaky though.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome idea, Grant, but these people, they think they're powerful. Like Dan and Dave. I hope Ryan Condell's not becoming those guys, but they believed it was their baby. Like they were the ones that wrote it. I don't think Ryan Condell's that far, but wow, that would be
but
such
they
an
change
awesome
characters
move.
thing based on the fact that that fans like other characters more. That you don't think they're going to change it if one of their major spoiling points gets brought out there, especially if it's something that they think is going to be a big moment.
And people are complaining about it online.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I put it this way: if Game of Thrones leaks happened for season 8, 6-7 months earlier, we would have got a different season 8.
Yeah,
because they would have
Well-
gone. Everyone knows about it. We're going to change it.
Did they change a lot though? I don't remember that. I
No,
didn't
they
think
didn't change it. I see if it came out
Oh.
earlier. If it came out 6-7
Right.
months earlier,
That's right. Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Though, to play devil's advocate a bit, George Martin was paid a shit ton of money.
Yep.
And he still is because he's getting royalties per episodes or something like that, right? Merchandising and all that stuff. And HBO did put a ton of money into the show. So even though we agree with Martin here, it's still a bit shitty of him to do it.
Oh yeah.
Think about it.
I think this is a man who, after House of the Drag, or after Game of Thrones, we keep going. Okay, you put him on. After Game of Thrones, he probably went into negotiating like this can't happen again, and now it's happening again. Like he has no real power because he sold his soul to HBO. And this guy who I think he trusted, Ryan Condell, is doing what he wants. And I think that just was the final straw for George. He's like, I'm going through this all again.
Well, when you're basically worth $250 million and they offer you $5 million to keep quiet, that's not that big of a deal.
Not that big of a deal. You're right.
Especially when you're someone like George, who definitely has an ego about him.
Yep.
I definitely think this is like, you think you've got all the power here. No, you don't.
No, you're right.
Because there's no way in the world HBO is going to go to war with the creator of their biggest show.
I'm not gonna go ahead.
I've actually seen other writers now that have sold rights to their work to TV channels and stuff. I saw Raymond Feist because he sold the Rift War
Mhm.
saga. He said on Facebook that he has nothing to do with the writing of the episodes or anything, just specified it. So, you know, so he doesn't get shit, I guess, maybe, if,
Uh,
if it's bad.
maybe.
Because quite often the writer of the source material will get blamed.
Yes. Yeah.
Because and
It's
the reason for that is if you go on IMDb,
mhm.
it'll say that the person is a writer on the show.
Right.
And
Yeah, because they get a writing credit for each episode.
Yeah, because they've written the source material. I mean,
Yep.
Tolkien is getting writing credits for the Rings of Power
Right. Oh God,
because
he's
they're using
rolling over in
terms
his
from
grave.
Middle Earth in it.
Yeah, he's rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to read this part about the butterfly effect. I'm pretty sure you all know what the butterfly effect is. So we'll jump right into Malor. Malor is a 2-year-old toddler in Fire and Blood. But like our butterfly, he has an impact on the story all out of proportion to his size. The readers among you may recall that when it appears that Rhaenyra and her blacks are about to capture King's Landing, Queen Alicent becomes concerned for the safety of Helena's remaining children and takes steps to save them by smuggling them out of the city. The task is given is 2 knights of the King's Guard. Sir William Fell is commanded to deliver Princess Jaehaera to the Baratheons at Storm's End, while Malor is given over to the badass Sir Rickard Thorne to be escorted across the Mander which is a river, to the protection of the Hightower army on its way to King's Landing. Willis Fell delivers Jaehaera safely to the Baratheons at Storm's End, but Sir Rickard fares less well. He and Malor gets as far as Bitterbridge, where he is revealed as a King's Guard in a tavern called the Hogshead. Once discovered, Sir Rickard fights bravely to protect his young charge and bring him to safety, but he does not even make it across the bridge before some crossbows bring him down. Prince Malor is torn from his arms and then sadly ripped to pieces by the mob, fighting over the boy and the huge reward that Rhaenyra has offered for his capture and return. Will any of that appear on the show? We don't even have to read that. No.
You know the ripple effect from that one too in the story is
Yes.
it was the reward that caused it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is this all of Malor's story? Would you say like
That's the
skipping
end.
anything?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest part he has. That's the end.
But it's what it does to the other characters and the characters around, because a lot of people ended up dying over that incident as well.
Yeah.
Like,
And it also. Oh, go ahead.
It changed the way that a lot of people saw Rhaenyra. They
Right.
believe that they put that she put a hit out on the child, and because Helena does what she does, they believe that was all Rhaenyra's doing.
Yeah.
That she's just
Yeah.
knocking off any of the Six Nations one after the other. So it has a massive effect, especially seeing so from what we believe they've already introduced the shepherd into it, or someone
Yeah.
who would appear to be the shepherd.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know what, a lot of people, Grant, are like trying to say that it's not even connected. The shepherd, that's all about the dragons being demons, and that's the only reason they uprise. You don't think the death of Malor,
but they
maybe
specifically
Shepherd's
say that's the
follower?
reason why, because they what do you call it? Rhaenyra at that stage was despised, and Helena was still loved.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is, yes, the shepherd is focusing on the dragons, but the rest of the people in King's Landing are fed up with Rhaenyra. That's why they feed into what the shepherd is saying.
Yeah.
Well,
The way the writers are, I wouldn't be surprised if they kill off the girl, just to
Yeah.
see what happens. You know,
well, and that's what's
completely throw the entire rest of the line.
everything off, like
Yeah.
how they come to terms and everything. We won't spoil that, but how they come to terms. Like someone brought that up on another show, and I just started laughing because it would change. I could see them doing that, not really, not caring the effect that killing Princess Jaehaera would do to the outcome of the Dance of the Dragons. It's stupid. Okay, so will any of this appear? Maybe, but I don't see how. The butterflies would seem to prohibit it. You could perhaps make Sir Rickard's ward be Jahara instead of Maelor, but Jahara can't be killed. She has a huge role to play as Aegon's next heir. Could maybe make Maelor a newborn instead of a 2-year-old, but that would scramble up the timeline, which is a bit of a mess already. Like he has all these little darts, like you know, the timeline's already screwed up.
Well, he's absolutely being factual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's definitely vitriol in there, but he's seeing something that could have been way better crumble because of I guess a lack of foresight.
Yeah.
From the show writers.
Yeah. Even though it's laid out in front of them, it's not like Game of Thrones. The whole story is there.
It's not even that many pages.
No, all the writers had to do was, you know, fluff it up a bit. More dialogue.
Yeah.
That's it.
Follow the structure. Use your creativity to make the scenes happen. Like this, it's like a writer's dream. Like you got to start it, and everything else you can do whatever you want,
and
as long as point A and point B happens.
And they did in season 1. I mean, again, we'll go back to King Viserys II. Like the way he is written in season 1 is what I would have loved to see written in the book. In the book, he's just a drunk, kind of wish-washy dad, like, you know, and king. But in the show, he had heart, he had determination. It just didn't last past his death. It was,
and most importantly, he loved his brother so much that I don't think you get that from the book.
Right.
I mean, they talked about how they got along really well, even though they had different personalities, and then, you know, Daemon was always fighting with him and blah blah blah. But I don't think you get the deep love.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
Viserys
even with Daemon trying to bang his mom all the time, you still get brotherly love. I make myself laugh.
Well, you know, the book is basically a series of events.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
and that's basically plot points. So everything between plot points is story. There's a difference between story and plot. You know,
absolutely. I'm sorry.
All you have to do is put down the events in a line, and then write stuff in between.
Right. I mean, think about it. If Alicent didn't send Maelor and the Princess Jahara away, fearing Rhaenyra wouldn't have had to put out the bounty for him, you know, hoping to just get him under her control. And then the child wouldn't have gotten ripped apart because all these people want them, you know, like everything has a reason.
But Alicent's abandoned her family now, so it doesn't count. That's never going to happen.
True. She doesn't care anymore, and they can write about her the way they want to.
Cause and consequence.
Yep. And I love this line right here because this tells you everything. I have no idea what Ryan has planned. George is out of the loop once again in one of his own, you know, shows. He's out of the loop. I don't care if he's a pain in the ass or not. Just
what springs to memory though, when George did that blog post about writers thinking they could do better than whoever wrote the source material and stuff like that. Yep. I think that was written right after they decided to ditch him.
Probably.
That's when they cut him off.
Yes, that's probably absolutely right. And then I think the whole dragon blog, it goes back. It goes back to season 1 also. When she comes through the floor, and then in season 2 where they decide dragons don't live on Dragonstone or in King's Landing, they live all over the place. How can't he be fed up?
Well, also remember he said when he was going over to England, he made a specific point saying he's not meeting up with the writers.
Yep. Was that his idea, or was that them not letting him, you know?
Well, he's probably not going because he's no longer one of the writers.
Yep.
He's been cut off. They decided they don't need him anymore, same as David and Dan did.
Yep.
And I think, you know, when he does blogs like this, I think he's kind of rubbing it in.
Yeah.
and pointing out that this is a bad move. This is a bad move. Here's why.
Yep. Oh, this is definitely him doing that. I mean, he says, I have no idea what Ryan has planned, if indeed he has planned anything. Like,
Yeah,
how do you expect?
that's
Wow.
key though, because they haven't.
Right.
Hence the ripple effects of when they leave stuff out. That's because they didn't plan it.
Yep.
They're just writing as they go along. They probably do what David and Dan did. They plan one season ahead.
Yeah.
Rather they wrote one season at a time.
Yeah.
Which is, you can't do that with something like when Peter Jackson made the Lord of the Rings. They planned the whole damn thing out,
and they filmed it that way too.
They shot it all at once,
which
as
is
well.
Yeah, and I know you can't do that maybe with a TV series, but the idea that you're not, when you got greenlit for 2 and 3, how did you not plan all the way through 4? Like, it's so dumb. We'll go on, but given Maelor's absence from episode 2, the simple way to proceed would be just to drop him entirely. Lose the bit where Alicent tries to send the kids to safety, drop Rickard Thorne, or send him with Willis Fellows so Jaehaerys has 2 guards. From what I know, that seems to be what Ryan is doing here. It's simplest, yes, and may make sense in terms of budget and shooting schedule, but simpler is not better. The Bitterbridge scene has tension, suspense, action, bloodshed, a bit of heroism, and not a bit, a lot, and a lot of tragedy. Rickard Thorne is a, what is that word? Tertiary. Thank you. Character at best, so like a side,
which means
right?
third.
Okay, yeah, try.
Not secondary.
Okay. Most viewers, as opposed to readers, will never know he is gone, since they never knew him at all. But I rather liked giving him his brief moment of heroism, a taste of the courage and loyalty of the Kingsguard, regardless of whether they are black or green. And also, we only see the negative of Kingsguard in this series.
Well, I was going to say, do you think that's on purpose? They don't want to see, like, they've gone out of the way to make sure that they show a lot of men being heroic. Unless they're going to have some sort of weird, like, turn later on. Which makes me pretty much convinced we're not going to get the Ride of the Seven when it comes to it.
Oh, dude, come on. No, you're absolutely right.
Because at one stage they were talking about doing a little mini series of that.
Yeah, at one stage, but and he doesn't even touch on, and maybe he would have done it. Well, we'll talk about that at the end. The butterflies are not done with us yet, however. In the book, when the word of Prince Maelor's death and the grisly manner of his passing on 505 reached the Red Keep, that proves to be the thing that drives Queen Helena to suicide. She could barely stand to look at Baelor, knowing that she chose him to die in the Sophie's Choice scene, and now he is dead in truth. Her words have come true. The grief and guilt are too much for her to bear. Now, let me ask you this, because I kind of agree with other YouTubers that brought this part up. Like, a lot of stuff happens between the death of Maelor and her committing suicide. There's quite a few things that happen. So they're like, oh, that's not the what broke her. But who's to say it's not? Like, George is saying it is. Granted, it's like, 75 pages away in a different chapter, and a lot does happen. But it could have just been that finally got her. Like, she's like, I have nothing to live for. And that was what broke her. It just took her that much longer to actually do the act. That's what I was thinking. Because you have quite a few major, like Rhaenyra, the whole thing with Rhaenyra, a couple major battles.
Well, I guess it really depends on what happens with her and her mother, whether Mushroom Story is true or not, which makes me think they're definitely not going to do that.
Refresh my memory. We got
okay. Once they're captured, Rhaenyra sends them down to work in the whorehouse and said, "If you care so much for bastards, you can't come out until you have one of your own."
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm.
makes you think that because that was all a part of, you know,
Yeah. I
the
forgot.
reason that she because that's, you know, it's a pretty horrific thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that happens to her, but that's not even really a point of contention. What he's saying is the death of the child she chose to die by such a gruesome, and they I believe they send his head in like a pot or something to her. I think that could be enough grief.
Remember when they
Yeah,
had Tommen commit
kids have a hard
suicide in
time
the
keeping
original
their
Hold
show?
on,
heads.
one at a time. Stig.
Remember when they had Tommen commit suicide on the original show?
Yeah.
That made
Yeah.
no sense.
No, he just bye, mom.
And
No.
Cersei was like, okay.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was so dumb.
I'm thinking that they might do something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I have no clue what they're going to do now. They've gone so off script. Like there's like 1,000 butterflies right now. How about you, Tina or Mason? Anything you guys want to add? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, buddy. Just jump in when you're ready. I just don't want you to, because the three of us can talk all night. So I just want to make sure you guys get in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
There you go.
So he goes on in Ryan's outline for season 3. Helena still kills herself for no particular reason. There is no fresh horror, no triggering event to overwhelm the fragile young queen. Now, another
there
thing
is him spoiling a future season.
Yeah. And
for non-readers.
Yeah. And
That's
again,
highly unprofessional. It actually is.
It is. He really is going, but he keeps, I mean, before he says, I have no clue what he's going to do because he's changed the outline from what he told me. So this is his little dirty way of throwing out what they planned. Now, if they do have her kill
That's
herself,
what I'm saying. I think that he's forcing their hand to change it.
Yeah, because
I really do.
Again, other people said, when he writes for no particular reason, like they got kind of furious with that. Not furious, just being like, George, what do you mean she doesn't have a reason? Well, she doesn't. The way they left her at the end of season 2, she became like Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings. You know,
it
like
was the opposite.
Yeah,
she started off crazy. She witnessed something horrific, and it broke her into normalcy.
Yeah, like there really isn't a reason for her to kill herself. Like, if her daughter dies, terrible, but she already wiped the death of her son off. Like, it was like, it happens. Her husband dies, she'll probably dance.
I did think she was going to throw herself off when she was talking to Eamon for some reason. I was just like, is she going to jump? Like, I really thought during that point where, like, I could kill you, which is like, it's not going to make a difference. And then I thought she was going to jump.
Yeah, you brought that up last time. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mason, you were going to say something?
We're forgetting she swapped to Team Black, the season finale. So why would she let her kids get sent off?
Right, exactly, dude. All right. And the final butterfly follows soon thereafter. Queen Helena, a sweet and gentle soul, is much beloved by the small folk of King's Landing. Rhaenyra was not. So when rumors began to arise that Helena did not kill herself, but rather was murdered at Rhaenyra's command, the commons are quick to believe them. That night, King's Landing rose in a bloody riot. I wrote on page 506 of Fire and Blood. It is the beginning of the end for Rhaenyra's rule over the city, ultimately leading to the storming of the Dragon Pit and the rise of the Shepherds mob that drives Rhaenyra to flee the city and return to Dragonstone and her death. Now, people are disagreeing with them on that, but it was the reason they rioted. It wasn't about, there was two things kind of going on, the Shepherd and the riot because of the death of Maelor.
Yeah, the Shepherd alone didn't have the power to rile people up because people were in love and in fear of the dragons the whole time.
Yes.
Nothing. What was the catalyst to make them change? You go, you know what? Yeah, let's just try and storm them.
And that's like in season 2, they were trying to set this up with, I thought they were gods. When they marched the head of the dragon through the city. Like, that's how they try to set it up. I don't know. Let's see. Maelor by himself means little. See, that's where George missed a huge part of this. I'll read this part and then speak on what we've talked about all season. Malor by himself means little. He is a small child, does not have a line of dialogue, does nothing of consequence but die. But where and when and how, that does matter. I agree. Losing Malor weakened the end of the blood and cheese sequence, but it also cost us the bitter bridge scene with all its horror and heroism. It undercut the motivation of Helena's suicide, and that in turn sent thousands into the streets and alleys screaming for justice for their murdered queen. None of this is essential, I suppose, but all of it does serve a purpose. It all helps to tie the storyline together so one thing follows another in logical and convincing manner. He never is that the end of it? Let me just finish it and then we'll talk. What will we offer the fans instead? Once we've killed these butterflies, I have no idea. I do not recall that Ryan and I ever discussed this. Back when he first told me that they were pushing back on Aegon's second son, Malor himself is not essential. But if losing him means we also lose Bitterbridge, Helena's suicide, and the riots, well, that is a considerable loss. And there are larger and more toxic butterflies to come if House of the Dragon goes ahead with some of the changes being contemplated for season 3 and 4. GRRM. Now, he planned on putting out more of these. He said it. What he doesn't touch on in this one
session
is the succession. Yeah, man. That is insane that he doesn't even bring up the whole point of like them changing.
Doesn't even mention Aegon at all.
Aegon or Aemon at all.
Sorry, Aemon. Sorry, doesn't even mention Aemon at all.
Aemon, it changes Aemon's story. It did change Aemon's storyline completely.
He was probably gonna do more of these, but he focused on this bit for this blog post.
Yeah, he was planning on doing a series of them.
Pretty sure he was gonna do a Daemon one.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's going to do them, and he's going to keep them up for like 20 minutes and then take them down.
And someone's definitely going to see it, and that's the beauty of the internet.
The problem is he announced this, so whatever happened to his site to get it taken down, I think it was like ready to happen.
Yeah.
As soon as he, maybe, I don't know.
Well, what gets me going is the idea if he doesn't do the rest of the series that he was telling people about for about a week to 2 weeks before, he was telling us he was going to write something about House of the Dragon. We learned about it like a week ago. That tells us right there that HBO put the freaking kibosh on him. They threatened him in some way. He has to release the rest, or it just tells us that HBO and him, their relationship is screwed. I don't know. What do you think what do you guys think he would have wrote in the next ones? I mean, we all agree Daemon, definitely.
Here's a question though.
Yeah.
When we're talking about ripple effects, what ripple effects will this have for Dunk and Egg?
Ooh. Wow, man.
Well, Dunk's going to be autistic. We already know that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. You're absolutely right, man. Like,
yeah, because it has to affect that one.
Like it's such a contentious thing right now. How does he already, they're already start filming, but he doesn't have control, does he? So the same shit's going to happen most likely.
Yeah. And how will it affect his motivation for writing more Dunk and Egg stories in time for the show? Because if I was him, I wouldn't give a damn about making any efforts for HBO.
Right. Go ahead, do whatever you want with the
fans.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we have to, we do speak up, but it was so weird to see so many people defend Ryan Condal and the rest of them. I didn't get it.
I've seen that happen before with Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. No, God, that's. So
I'm not even kidding.
No,
have you
right.
ever met a shill?
Yeah, not even shills though.
Reason.
But not even shills. People that, they are
should know better.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
One doesn't simply just become a shill. It's little chips at it. They'll accept small things here and there.
There are also guys that aren't complete. They're definitely. How can I put this? they're not shills, but they are more apologetic than we are. And I still think when they disagree, they let you know, but they're agreeing with Ryan Condal and not George on this. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Yeah, and these are the same people that complained to the high heavens about the previous show,
Mm-hmm.
and now we literally have history repeating itself.
Yeah.
And then, oh no, it's you know, but
Yep.
it could also be that House of, this show is more accepted by the broader audience currently,
Mm-hmm.
so it's bad for clout to criticize it.
Yeah, I guess. But if you're going to be we have, the fandom has always talked about being honest. Okay. And you have to be honest with you. If you love this show, dude, I still want it to be good. This last season was really rough for me to watch. But like if next season comes out and they're able to make me understand why they did what they did, fine. Again, I try as hard as I can to separate the two, but they've made such like huge butterfly, like they're pterodactyl effects. Like it's unbelievable. I just want to read a couple of these too. Joseph
That's
said,
my worst kind of butterfly, a
yeah,
pterodactyl.
those pterodactyl effects are horrible. Joseph Larkin says, how the author of the book they are not adapting is wrong, though I don't get it. It's funny how you have author of the story saying some changes are good. Now he's saying truth and it's lies. Yeah, right. Come on. Like before, now
Excellent
that he's
point.
yeah, such a good point, man. Like now
Yeah.
that he's telling his truth, it's all lie. He's not right.
Yeah. I pointed it out earlier that he was very fair when he said that this and that scene was better
Mm-hmm.
in the show.
Right.
So
He
it's
also
not
praised the shit out of the Helena actress as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and she did a great job with what they gave her.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think this is an ego trip. I think this is more
For the love of the story.
a right and wrong thing.
Yeah. He was lied to, it seems to me. The way the way he comes through with this is they gave me a line of bullshit when they showed me the outline for season 3. And then when there was no chance of fixing it, they told me the truth.
I think he swallowed it with with the original show.
Yep.
And I don't think he's taking the same shit again.
No, because he probably, dude, do you imagine after season 8, when the last episode of the series, he was tweeting or Xing, whatever you want to call it, about a different show altogether. You don't think when they were coming to the table about these next projects he's working with them on, he didn't bring up, I don't want this ever to happen again. And it's happening again to him.
Yeah.
Like, how can you even trust HBO after this?
It's remember it kind of happened to in a way to George Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they were gonna adapt his sequel trilogy scripts.
Yep.
And all that stuff,
Kennedy.
and then they just didn't do it.
Yeah.
So if your name is George, you're looking to get screwed over.
Oh, come on, George Clooney, write something finally.
Right. Dictor Van Dum something. Sir Duncan was written as if he was on the spectrum.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't. No, he was written that he wasn't educated. That's that's how I read him. He just isn't educated. He's a kid from Flea Bottom. You know?
Yeah. He's lacking basic education.
Yeah. Yeah. And court etiquette, all that stuff, you know? Joseph Larkin, I feel bad for George. It's actually his legacy, his story. He gave Randall and Sarah their props. I think they should be able to take criticism if it's valid. Amen.
Yeah.
But Ryan's rapey retarded uncle, they won't.
And you know, if there is criticism, and solid criticism that's backed up,
Mm-hmm.
That's constructive criticism too.
Well, he did explain every aspect of the criticism with this, why he thinks it's a bad idea and where the
Yeah.
consequences
He
happen.
lays it
So I
all
don't
out.
think they can say that it's not constructive.
No, he lays it all out. And yes, there are some that if we're seeing his little daggers, they're definitely seeing them. But at least he is explaining in full what he felt the blood and cheese and the missing son did to the whole series.
Yeah.
Oolong John, Don Johnson, Grand Piano. How are you? He has so much money. I do not feel like it's about the money anymore. Oh no, definitely anymore. No. I think he knows he is almost at his end, and it's legacy 100%. Johnny,
he is a writer by trade.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing: he does not want to be remembered as, the guy who just screwed everything up and didn't even finish.
Right.
I refuse to think that.
Right. Oh, Johnny.
That's why I think it's the ultimate long con. I think he had it written 5 years ago, and he's just fucking with everyone.
Wouldn't that be great?
Because remember he said that if people don't stop harassing you at airports, he's going to kill Tyrion off.
Yeah, it was something stupid like that.
Yeah,
you know what?
I think this is something along those lines where he's just like, yeah, this is all. It's like, no, I had this the whole time.
Oh man.
Here's some food for thought, though.
I'm hoping anyway.
Imagine if you had written a book like this, the book series, and the show happens and everything's good, and they're basically listening to you, that they're adapting it, and then they do a 180 and fuck it up and basically maybe take bits from the ending and spoil it. It's gonna do something to your motivation,
right?
I think that's added a few years to.
You brought that up. You brought that up a long time ago.
It has to mess with your motivation,
and they just keep messing with it, man.
Because you'll get okay, so this was all for nothing kind of feeling.
Right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Especially if, let's just say, his end story is Bran on the throne, and no matter how he gets there now, it's always going to be so it's just like the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if it's one of the most beautifully constructed stories that makes so much more sense, and you tell him you've got to read the book, people are like, it's the same as the show, though. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be Bran on the throne, though. I don't think he's even going to make it to King's Landing.
No.
I think if it was Bran on the throne, you'd have to be possessed by some sort of White Walker or something to make it, really punchy.
Or Bran possesses someone else.
Yeah.
Well, I think Bran's going to end up being the enemy.
Oh, hell yes. That prophecy with Cersei that she's going to get choked by a younger sibling.
Yeah.
Bran knows about Sir Robert Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had a vision of him, of an empty helmet. Empty means that he can go into it.
Oh, yeah.
And he can kill Cersei.
Yeah. Because in that, a lot of people believe it's not empty. It has Robert or Rob's head in there, which would be.
No. It has the dwarf. Remember?
No, they sent the dwarf's head to, the Sand Snakes, to Dorne.
It was sent over to Dorne.
I thought they sent the Mountain's head and then stuck the dwarf head on Sir Robert Strong.
No, they found an oversized dwarf head or something. I'll have to reread that.
Yeah,
because they cleaned it.
Yeah, but we've never seen what's in the helmet.
You're right.
And we only saw the skull. So it could have been Robert Strong, or rather the Mountain's head. But then he kept the dwarf's head that looks a bit like Tyrion.
Yep.
So when he chokes, if he chokes Cersei and the helmet comes off, she's just going to see an undead Tyrion face.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I would like that.
Dude,
go ahead, Mason.
That'd be so gross to have mismatched body parts. There's the theory that the Mountain has Jaime's hand sewed onto him. like a fake Tyrion's head, and
Mhm.
like that'd be weird if it was like all mismatched parts of both of her brothers.
Are the ones killing her.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
kinda
maybe
crazy.
some of Joffrey.
Is Jamie older than her?
No, she's older by a few seconds.
She's older, so
Yeah.
technically, if it was Jamie's arm on
Yeah.
there, it would definitely be his brother, her younger brother, strangling her.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I laughed, because that's such a
But
brilliant
it says
idea.
hands,
Yeah, it does
not
say
hand.
hands.
which ruled
does
out
say-
Jamie out of the way.
Yep. Joseph says now, he goes, I don't know if I could blame budget because everything is actually great, but the writing, they leave things unfulfilled, like Royce cousin and Damon going to Runestone after Rhaenyra's wedding. Yeah, demanding his inheritance. It's going to be Raisin Brand on the throne. That might
Yeah,
be
I
it.
wanted to see that scene. I don't even know if he got any of it.
Nah, yeah, right. No, they like, in the book they like march. They threaten to kill him, I think. But don't worry, George's delay most likely is because of all us fascists out there. So, yeah, George R. R. Martin says the Winds of Winter has been delayed again because of fascism.
This is where I won't support him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Jordan, when he got sick and was dying, he kept writing up until the end, and then he made sure he had 6,000 pages, I think it was, of notes for Brandon Sanderson to use when he, to finish the work.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why that work is great because of that.
Yeah, The Wheel of Time is fantastic, and seriously, Sporking, you should read it.
I know. I read most of the first book, and then I don't know why I didn't finish.
I watched
I
the first
will.
season of Amazon. I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
sure I
it's
get the
so
gist of the
good.
entire book series.
Yeah, it's so good. I love how he says this has not been a good year for anyone, with war everywhere and fascism on the rise. Like, I know what he's talking about during World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars. There was no art at all, no writing, no music. It's terrible. It's terrible, George.
Yeah.
He's definitely got that Ukrainian flag flying. What does he say? He says that again, fascism on the rise. And on more personal level, I have had a pretty wretched year as well. One full of stress, anger, conflict, and defeat. Do you think right there he's talking about House of the Dragon? Defeat. I don't know. I kind of looked at that. And I was like, wait a minute. Is he talking about that? I look forward to telling you all about our adventures, though it may take a while. I had 1,000 emails waiting for me on my return from Belfast, Amsterdam, London, Oxford, and Glasgow. And then I went and brought a case of COVID back with me from Worldcon. So I am way, way behind. That's awesome. Meanwhile, Tolkien wrote The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and all their backstories while 2 world wars were going on. One ex-user response.
Yeah. And, Robert E. Howard, when he wrote Conan, he was looking after his sick mom and killed himself when she died. He shot himself in the parking lot outside the hospital when she died.
Oh, man.
He
That's
still
crazy.
managed to write, though.
Yeah, George is just now making excuse after excuse when it comes to the books. I just I don't know.
If stuff gets to him,
Mhm.
sure, fine, but focus on something else then, like writing.
Yeah.
Stay off social media while you're writing or something.
Cries himself to sleep on that gargantuan money pillow. Johnny Skinwalker asks us, do you guys think George's critiques were a little bit weird? Like, didn't he address the treatment and Allison and Rhaenyra and the bad writing? Treatment of Allison and Rhaenyra. No, he didn't touch on that.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
After this, I don't think he will. I think he's gotten some phone calls.
Yeah.
You wait till some random Reddit user called John R. Martin comes out with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Or just George R. Martin. What
Mail
did you have? Maylor.
Maylor
Oh
the
my
Missing.
God, Maylor the Missing.
George W. Martin.
There you go. Big W there. Mason,
Mail
were you going to
or
say something?
something.
I thought I need 25 more subs. Guys, please someone just start another channel. Help Mason out. Look, he's a nipple. He can't even afford a picture. Poor guy. He needs 25 more subs on YouTube. Help him out. But any final thoughts? We'll wrap it up here. No? All right.
It's a shit show from both sides. I guess, with Martin saying this crap, that, fascism is why I'm not writing.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Well, he didn't say he was not writing. He's saying it's difficult to write, I think.
Yeah. It pushed him really far behind.
Yeah. But I have no sympathy for him for that.
Not at all.
Technically, he probably voted for some of it himself. But
yep. Oh man, Mason.
But he's spot on about the show, though.
Yeah, he is. He is, and I hope we do get those other ones, but I don't think we will.
And justice for Christie, who called it out during season 1,
like first
and
episode.
got tons of shit from it.
Yep.
From a lot of people who are now pissed at season 2. So.
Yep. I don't remember if I gave her shit, but I agree with her.
No, you did. It was nobody on here that.
Okay, just making sure because I forget quickly.
No, she was getting DM'd weirdos.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, God, these people are idiots. Like, I
Keyboard
disagree.
warriors.
Yeah, right. And the worst part is those are the people that are, not the content creators, but the people that follow them that, just gobble up every, positive morsel about George. And the minute someone disagrees with something they like, even people in our own fandom that will back you unless they disagree with because they like something. And then they come and they sometimes get pretty,
basically you have to follow the popular narrative or you're kind of the enemy.
Yeah
I've seen that happen.
I know you have. I just, you got to follow your truth, man. You got to follow your own
be
truth.
honest.
Yeah.
And even if you like a show and it's shit, just go, I know it's a shit show, but I like it anyway. It's entertaining to me, or something like that.
Yeah, dude, I like the originals. Like, I
never called. Oh, you go.
What?
Oh, Tina.
Oh, so that's just my entire. It's my entire thing. Is the fact that I love that Gen X has a control over the media in terms of the fact that we're getting all of the sci-fi and fantasy that we read while we were, teenagers, and we now see it on television. I think that's wonderful. Of course, there's some bad aspects to it, but you know what? I can always find something enjoyable about it, even if it's not a faithful adaptation or whatever.
Yeah, that's why your bad takes Bojan.
I never given you shit for that.
No, we all might bust your stones, but we agree with your right. Your right to enjoy. Yeah. All right. So, Long John, Don Johnson, Grand Piano. The way in which people are praising it, you see Mahler and Ryan Kay saying it's brilliant, and we need to get over the little things. Seems very hypocritical. I don't understand it. Like, look. They're allowed. I'm glad they love it, and if they feel like we are harping on little things, that's them. I mean, that's them.
I mean,
but
it's weird from Mauler, who
I know, 8 hour
stream on the fact that some guy didn't put his hat on a stool the right way or something,
Yeah,
but
I know.
If people are gonna bash, the acolytes, and which is fine, it's a shit show. But why excuse this show for doing exactly the same crap?
Right. I mean, I understand that if you like it, but don't, and even saying like, don't sweat the small things. I understand that they're not coming after, well, we're little guys, but like going after somebody personally for disagreeing with them. That would cause me to be upset. But like, we can disagree. You can say, oh, you're just sweating that. But I just personally think we're not. We're fans of the content.
Yeah, and it's not blind bashing if the person's backing it up.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I don't think we're bashing
is
anything,
bad.
man.
Yeah, this is bad because, and then it'll lead to this and this. You know.
Yeah. Okay. We might be bashing a little bit, but what I'm saying is we have
Yeah,
our
but not for no
reasons.
reason.
No,
Yeah.
we're not bashing Chris. He's not here.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That Chrissy. DM her. Yeah. So yeah, Damon faces the Red Piper and goes there was a battle in the Riverlands, none in season 2, but we got mud wrestling. We do get unnecessary changes in the show, to be honest. Yeah, no, 100%, man. I mean, he doesn't
Are
even
you a
go.
philosopher?
Yeah, he doesn't even go to the burning mill. I mean, all he does is trip balls and
It was
everything
called the
comes
burning mill because of him.
exactly. And exactly. And all we get is him going through like this therapy thing, and then at the end of it, it's all because of prophecy. He's like, okay, I agree now. I'm sorry, it's just stupid. And I love all those other guys, but I definitely disagree with them on this show, and maybe that's why I haven't gotten guests. But
I think
show's
what
just not good.
happened on some level
Mhm.
was that this show got praised more than it deserves, because if the more praise this show gets, the worse the Rings of Power looks.
Yeah, maybe. I do know, like, I praised it season 1 because I thought it was going to suck. I try not to go into shows thinking it's going to suck, but I'm a huge fan of A Song of Ice and Fire, and I was just like, they're going to screw it up again. So I did praise the hell out of it, except for a couple scenes here and there. But I'm also honest about what I don't like. And season 2 was just such a step backwards, man. It was terrible.
Have you gone back and watched your old reviews? I watched the pilot one, and yeah, we were all really like
into it.
Yeah, the main thing that we had was like, oh, it's telling and not it's showing and not telling. It's the characters are good, and I can remember saying that I enjoyed it more than the first episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh, I remember.
Which I don't
when
remember
you said
saying,
that.
but
I
yeah,
do remember that.
Yeah,
because I was shocked.
Yeah, because it took me a while. It's still I go back and watch. Well, apparently that's a bad take. But sorry,
Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah, Mason hates you. I know that.
No, but like I felt like because we got more story, we got more into it. But that's because obviously they had to rush 20 years and 4 episodes, which I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
But I thought that was going to be the pace of the series, so I quite liked it.
Yeah, I had a great time watching season 1 and talking about it with you guys, because it was like little minor things. It wasn't.
Well, you know what?
Little minor changes to canon. Yeah, go ahead.
If you look at a minor change as a chunk of meat, right? If you have a lot of chunks of meat, it can lead to a big soup in the end, right?
Man. Yeah.
So the little things, if there's a lot of them, actually tends to start to matter a lot.
Wait, is soup bad in this analogy? I'm confused.
Yeah, it is. I think
because I like soup.
Yeah, no, but it's like a shitty soup. It's a shitty soup. No, I agree with you on that.
Do you not like your soup, Chunk?
I love soup. Joseph Larkin. I believe the small things matter. Everything does. With this many changes, it just will lead to more changes to the story. And to me, it doesn't make sense. We could have done without some things. Yeah, a lot of things. I mean,
someone said, I think it actually might have been George Morton from back in the day, said that a fan is a fan because every detail matters.
Oh, dude, 100. Wow, that's perfect. 100%.
Because it is, if you're a fan of, I don't know, Harry Potter or something,
I am.
You can't stop yourself from trying to learn everything about it.
Yep.
And you don't choose to be a fan. It just happens. You see something, you really like it, and then you just go all in on it.
Yeah.
To consume consume everything about it.
Yeah.
So it's not just I like this movie.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't make you a fan.
It's also like going back to Star Wars. It's like someone saying, oh, Rian Johnson changed some stuff, but it doesn't matter that Luke's kind of sad. It doesn't matter that he threw the lightsaber into the ocean. Like, that stuff just doesn't matter. That to me is what people are saying about this show.
You know
Mail
what
or did it
matters even
matter?
more
Mm.
than Luke tossing the lightsaber?
Hmm.
The fact that they hyperspaced through a ship, because
Yeah.
that ruined space combat completely. Because all they have to do now
Oh no, that was a
is
1 in a million shot. They fixed it the next movie.
yeah.
They
Well,
say-
you have droids that plot hyperspace jumps. R2
Yeah.
is one of them.
Yep.
So all they have to do is put a cheap droid that
Yep.
knows how to plot a hyperspace jump into a
Mm.
cheap ship
Yep.
and have it hyperspace into every enemy ship. I
Yeah.
mean, they could have done that with the Death Star. It wouldn't have destroyed it, but it would have disabled it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also force
Well,
healing.
hyperspace
Force
drives are so
healing.
easy to build now. They literally could just throw it on a car in space. It would work.
Yeah. I know there was some form of space healing maybe in the books, but like when they had Ray do it and then they're like, oh, just have
Oh yeah,
baby Yoda do it. You know,
yeah.
and it makes
Basically,
sense.
how they used to do it was very complicated,
Hmm.
and it took like decades of training. So mostly only Jedi Masters could do it.
Yeah.
But now a toddler who can't even speak can do it. So
Yeah. And a
ripple effects.
girl who learned it like a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
I mean,
Yeah.
if Baby Yoda could do it, why didn't Obi-Wan heal Qui-Gon?
Because he hated him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. Real quick, my man became a member again. And Mr. Grant Gregory, Mr. Grant Gregory AI, member for 27 months. Thank you, buddy. GRRM trolling everyone, calling it now. Books are done. Greater they will be released the day he dies. Okay, I like that. Hey, man.
I hope it's shit, and the final line in the last book is just "fuck you all."
Yeah, fuck you, fascists, and Ryan Condal in D&D.
No, he's literally going to have some White Walkers called Ryan Condal, Dave and Dan,
Yep.
and they're just going to get literally shat on by the common folk.
You know what? I'm sure he'll sneak some stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be so awesome. Hey, Brian McCann, I agree with you on everything but the politics of the elite, so I hate you now. No, he says, here's my problem. I want more of the deep ones, the giants, the maze builders, the ice dragons. There's so much more I want. Empire of the Dawn, all that stuff. Other parts of the world.
The Ice Dragon children's book
Yes,
is
it's
actually
canon.
It's part of the Song of Ice and Fire canon.
Yeah, so
is it in Old Valyria?
What? The Ice Dragon? No, it's in the north.
Yeah.
It's in the north.
Maybe
the wall.
Inside the wall.
Yeah. It's a mass, and they're bigger. They're bigger than the dragons of today. Like they're huge. I gotta get that story for my kids. All right, last couple comments. Unnecessary changes, a change that doesn't impact or isn't meaningful to the story. A necessary change is a change that is at least beneficial to the show. They add things and then leave them to be next episode. Yeah, but also an unnecessary change isn't always something that affects the outcome of seasons. Like these unnecessary ones they made are like they're series changing unnecessary. So they're not unnecessary. They're overly just destructive necessary, I guess. I don't know. There has to be a new term for that. And then Johnny says, go.
Having, Stannis or King Robert having a different hair color.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not blonde.
Right.
Then no biggie.
It's kind of like Rhaenys having platinum hair instead of the black with like a platinum streak. I mean,
and
I harped
Tyrion
on that.
Not having a purple eye.
Yeah, I harped on that for a while, man, and people were starting to get annoyed with me. Oh, the purple eye, yeah.
That's definitely going to be a thing coming in the future.
Well, his mom might have got raped by Ares. But like, what gets me is like, I got some crap from a couple people about always bringing up Rhaenys' hair color, but it changes the complete story where Ned says all the Baratheons had black hair. Like that's why these kids aren't Baratheons. No matter who they married into the Baratheon family, their children had black hair, except for Rhaenys in this show, who has platinum hair, because it changes everything.
If they had been redheads, it would have worked too, as long as they're not blonde.
or blood.
They basically can't have the same hair color as Jaime and Cersei.
Yep. Yeah, the thing with Daemon, we'll talk about that next week, Monday, not Thursday, but yeah, it's just stupid. Yeah, they're twice as big, the Ice Dragons, which is awesome. And then Alpha Kenny 1. Y'all haters, Mahler loves and explains why it's just nitpicking. The books and the shows are different to each other. The show is better in every aspect. And God bless you, man. If that's what you
Completely
love.
disagree.
It is,
But I disagree.
It's its own canon, but
Yeah.
the thing is, it ties into the other show now too,
Yeah.
which means the story is already broken.
Yeah. The story's already
The
written.
prince that was promised turned out it was Arya, a girl who was neither a prince nor had a drop of Targaryen blood.
Yep.
So that
So
alone,
the prophecy, the prophecy that Damon now is like believing in means nothing.
and there's going to be like a long winter that lasts for 3 days.
Yeah. And I love Mahler, dude, but like for him to say it's just nitpicking is kind of brushing off what we're really saying. It is not just nitpicking. I know they're two different like canons, I guess now. But like the idea, the way they go with some of it is just, it doesn't make any sense. You changed the story. It's not nitpicking when it changes, even though it's different worlds, it changed the story completely. Like they're not being faithful at all.
Is that, yeah, if you can't call it an adaptation or something and then say it's got nothing to do with it.
We're just
Plain and
using it
simple.
in name only. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty, like you're completely changing characters, how they act, their reasoning behind how they act. I mean, Aemon is not supposed to be a dick who hates his brother. He protects his brother in the book. He becomes a protector of the realm to protect his brother's crown, and not having Maelor changes everything. Now he's this just abusive hater of his family. He cries one episode because he killed his cousin, and then he murders a city like it's nothing, and plans on killing his sister if she doesn't help. Like, it doesn't make sense. But thank you. We will cope, Alpha. I mean, this is what I'm talking about.
It's technically not coping though, if we're
But-
not excusing it.
Yeah, but this is going back to what I was saying, because we disagree with people in our own world, we'll say, people that we usually agree with on stuff, we're told to cope. Just like all the Star Wars shills told all of us, just cope, just deal with it. Like
Which
you're
is ironic.
making no,
It's
you're a
ironic
hypocrite,
when it's
dude.
coming from someone who lets a big YouTuber think for them and give them their opinions.
Yeah,
At
I
least
mean,
we have our own.
we have our own opinions, man. Tell us to cope. I usually don't get angry, but that's a dick thing to say, man. Like, I love Mahler, dude. I watch his shit. I sometimes fall asleep to it because his luscious, like silky voice. But freaking,
Don't have to blindly agree with them.
Exactly.
On everything.
If that's how you make friends, I feel bad. That's called a cult. All right, guys, we're gonna call it a night. Thank you everybody for coming out. Johnny, love you, man. Joseph, also Alpha, I love you too, man. But just don't be a
absolutely.
dick about it. We just don't agree. That's all. We don't have to hate each other. Let's not become Democrats of today. But guys, thank you for being here. Mason, Stig, Mr. Grant Gregory, Bad Takes Bojan. Guys, please subscribe to this guy right here. He's 25 away from 100. Please help him out. All right. I love the guy. And you guys have anything you need to plug before we go?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
All right. So we'll leave on that. Good night, everybody. Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast with me, Sporking.